Hey guys, it's Julian. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make music like me on Vynehall. I'm going to be giving away the project file and samples for this video in the description, so make sure you go check those out. And yeah, let's get started. So the first sound we have here, this is a loop you heard in the intro, is a sample which sounds like this. So what this is a sample of is Little Sunflower by Freddie Hubbard. It is a pretty cool old school kind of track. Leon Vynehall has actually sampled this before, not quite in this way, but I figured it would be a good starting point to kind of show you his style. So something Leon Vynehall does a lot is samples. Like he uses sampling to really make his music like have an interesting kind of texture and a really cool kind of like organic vibe. Like it's kind of a nice combination, like these old school sounding like sampled strings with like these very modern kind of like crisp sounding house beats. So definitely, if you're trying to make music in this style, I recommend starting with a sample and kind of building everything around it. That was what I did here. So like I said, it's just this sample, this little sunflower thing. What I did was I basically took, I'll show you the original sample. I took like this one part. That, and what I did was, you can hear that I already pretty much had the rhythm that I wanted to use actually, but just to make it really like fit with the groove, I just kind of took like the individual little pieces and I just kind of put them on the grid here to make it, you know, a little bit smoother. Like this is a really good way to do this because then you can be assured that it's not going to be like a little bit out of time or anything. And like with these strings, it can be kind of hard to sit and quantize them, because it's not really like a transient, you know, it's not really got like a hit that you can kind of like quantize. You're just sort of like quantizing something that's like kind of free flowing. So yeah, for me it's just easier to take it and just kind of like do it in the arrangement like this. And then this part over here, I just kind of took like the beginning of the track leading up to this part, and I just kind of had it fade in. It's a cool touch. This is something Leon Vynehall has done as well. It's kind of a nice way to start your track. Like if you're having trouble finding an arrangement and you're using a sample like this, definitely I recommend trying that. So then, like I said, I just took that sample and kind of like chopped it up. That's pretty much just, that's pretty much just it. It's very simple. Like I said, you just find like a cool kind of string sample like this, or anything really. It could be like a choir, or like a voice, or like a piano, just anything kind of like that. And just chopping it up and like putting it on the grid with it and working with it this way will lead to some really cool results. And this is how Leon Vynehall does it. Now, as far as effects go on that, I've got a few here. So the first thing I have is the saturator. I'll show you what it sounds like with no effects. And then here's the saturator. So it's just kind of giving it a little bit of a warmer vibe. Truth be told, this is a sample from YouTube, so it's not going to be like the best sounding and the highest quality. So I like to add some saturation to kind of give it some more grit and make it sound a little bit more like analog and warm. Then after that, I have a compressor sidechaining it to the kick. Pretty straightforward there. That's just obviously pretty important for this groove here. And then finally, I just have an EQ8 cutting out the low end because there wasn't really too much like super low end going on here. But you can see there is a bit, so I wanted to clean that up to make room for the bass. So that's a sample. Like I said, it's really not as difficult as it may seem. You just kind of find like a cool part like that, and then yeah, just start chopping. So the next thing we have here is the bass line, which sounds like this. This is kind of like a sort of bouncy bass line like Leon Vynehall would usually use. Like he usually just kind of has something simple that will like follow the sample or the chords and just really help to like ground that, you know, like this is really playing off of what's going on there harmonically. And so yeah, that's pretty much all I can say for the notes. Like once you have your sample with this style, if you just go in and start trying to write a bass line and find notes that fit like the groove you want, but then also fit with the key of the track and with like where that is kind of going, it's kind of hard to go wrong. Like it's pretty simple. The only other thing I will show you is like here I did this thing where I kind of made these notes a little shorter. That's just nice for making it have that like more organic like human groove. Like if you were playing a bass, which is what a lot of Leon Vynehall's bass lines sound like, like these kind of synth basses that have like a live bass kind of feel. If you're playing a live bass, you wouldn't have those notes like perfectly, touch each other the way they would, like the way that these two do, for example. You would have them kind of have some space in between, and that's what gives it the groove. Because you hear that space between the notes. So that's it for the notes on the bass. As far as the sound goes, the way that I made this was using operator. So I made this little like FM bass. It's mostly just a saw wave, and I've got a little bit of the sine wave coming in here. You can see I got the coarse pitch at 2, and yeah, I've got the level up a little bit. And then those are going into a low pass filter. So here's what it sounds like before the low pass. So like I said, mostly a saw wave. This is just on there a little to just kind of give it a little bit more grit and a little bit of a different feel. And then the low pass is just kind of, cutting out all that high end and making it sound a bit warmer. And then on the low pass, I've got an envelope, so you can see it's kind of just got this decay little curve there. Pretty simple. That's just making it sound more plucked. Like I said, the vibe here I feel like is like kind of like a synth bass, but with a live bass type of feel. So that's what I was going for, just like a round, warm kind of bass sound. Then after that, I've got a little bit of saturation. You can see I got the saturator here. I've got the drive turned up a bit, and I turn up the bass frequency a little bit on the analog clip. Really nothing too crazy there. Just kind of giving it a bit more like warmth and a bit more power as well. But yeah, that's really good for making it sound kind of like more analog or more organic. Then after that, I just have a compressor side chaining it to the kick. Pretty straightforward there. So that's the bass. Next thing we have here is this drum bus group. But actually, the next thing we have is this kick, which sounds like this. So with the kicks for Leon Vynehall's music, it's nothing too crazy. Usually he has these kind of like softer kicks. Like this isn't super hard or punchy or like clicky. It's just a nice like hard hitting kind of deep kick that works really well with the bass too. So yeah, just finding like kind of a softer, less like still punchy and hard hitting, but just not in that same like super clicky kind of like EDM kick way, if that makes any sense. And yeah, so then the next thing that we have here is this hi-hat, which sounds like this. Nothing too crazy, it's just a hi-hat that you hear. It comes in here, and then it kind of goes in the background with this ride coming through here. But yeah, it's just kind of playing on the upbeats, gives it a bit more groove. Makes you bob your head a little bit more in this part. And yeah, then the next thing we have here is this ride cymbal, which sounds like this. This is just like a simple kind of like live ride sound, I guess. Leon Vynehall uses these a ton in his tracks. I think he samples them. Sometimes he's also probably playing them in live, like with a recording or like with something like Addictive Drums or something like that. But using this sample will more than get you there. So basically, yeah, it's just like a little ride sample, and it kind of plays on the beat, and it gives it more of like a, I feel like it gives it more of like an eclectic kind of vibe, I guess is what I would say. Like, it's a sound you don't really hear a lot in this kind of house, so it's very unique. But yeah, and it makes it sound kind of sampled too, because like it sounds like a sample from an old track. It doesn't really sound like as much like a live ride cymbal, but that's cool. That's what we want, like that kind of sampled feel. Then the next thing that we have here are actually these two shakers, which sound like this. So basically, it's just two different shakers. This first one is kind of playing off of the hi-hat / ride. You can see there's the pattern. And then the second one here is just playing 16th notes. And then I have it sidechained to the kick. So these are kind of like where the intricacies come in. Like, this is a pretty simple beat, just kind of sample, bass, drums. There you go. But you can have complicated things or complex things inside of that. So having these two shakers is kind of a way to do that. Like, I feel like it adds a lot of depth to the percussion. If we turn those off, it's cool. But then we bring in that first shaker. Already, that helps the groove a lot more. It gives it a lot more swing. But then we bring in the second one. Then it has like a more steady groove. And again, it's like little sort of intricate things like this that really help make your beats like more, work better and be stronger and just be better overall. So the next thing we have here is the clap, which sounds like this. So the clap is 2 layers. It's this one and this one. So kind of just like a punchy, sort of like, almost like a rim shot kind of layer. And then just like a hand clap type sound. And yeah, it's kind of like the best of both worlds. Like this one is more of like the hit of the sound, and then this one is more of like kind of on top of it for a little bit more high end. And then the only thing I will say about these claps is you can see I moved them back very slightly. It's also on this other one as well. And yeah, it just kind of helps make it sit a little bit better with the kick. Like if you listen to these with the kick, and then if I put them on the grid, you'll hear it doesn't really sound as nice because what's happening is they're kind of getting buried by the kick. But when you have them hit right before then, you hear that powerful transient right before the kick, and it gives it a little bit more of an organic kind of feel, as well as it makes the clap shine a little bit more. So the last thing that we have here in the drum group are these two little percussion sounds, which sound like this. So what these are just like this little bell sound, and then this little like percussion, I guess it's like a bongo or something. And what they are is I've just put them in here, and they're just playing these little like 16th note things like that, and that at the end of every 2 bars in this track. So, you know, these are just kind of like ear candy. Like they give your beat a little bit more vibe and like flavor. Leon Vynehall uses sounds like this a lot. Again, it's part of like giving it the kind of like real human kind of feel. It's very organic sounding and very much like it's like live percussion, you know? And it's really not that difficult to do. So like I said, I just brought these in here, and then they're just playing these little things at the end of every 2 bars. And then on both of them, I have a bit of echo, which is just giving it like a bit of space. And since these are so sparse and you only hear them like that, it's kind of nice to have the little delay on them because you hear it, like, it makes it ring out a little bit more. And I feel like it makes the overall groove a lot more fluid. So yeah, those are pretty much the little percussion sounds. Now on the group here, this drum bus group, whatever you want to call it, I have a very small amount of processing. You can see we just have the saturator. So here's what it sounds like with no saturation. And then with. So you can hear I'm just giving it a bit of drive. And then I changed the color here to the sinoid fold mode. What this does is it's just a little bit more powerful. You can hear if I keep it on analog clip, it's not got that like big beefy kind of sound like it has on the sinoid fold, so it's just distorting it a little bit harder than the other ones. And yeah, it's really not too difficult. This saturation is just kind of nice to put on the whole drum group. I feel like it really helps glue it all together and make it all kind of like, you know, it kind of puts it all under the same sonic umbrella. So then the last layer that we have here is just this vinyl crackle, which sounds like this. So it's just like a short vinyl crackle sample, and I put it in here, and you can see I have it kind of starting at the intro here with the sample. It kind of like fades in at the same time. So it kind of sounds like you're listening to a record, and then it's like going into this house beat, you know? And yeah, so this is definitely something Leon Vynehall does a ton. These vinyl crackles, very popular in this style of music. Obviously, he's not the only one that does it, but he definitely does it quite a bit as well. And then the only thing I can say with like his style is, for one, I sidechained into the kick. So this is something I usually do with these, but not always. But in this case, it's very important because the groove of this track is so much hinging on that kick, like ducking everything out of the way. And like that quarter note kind of groove. So it's definitely important to sidechain it. And then the only other thing is like having kind of a crispy sounding one. Like you can have a lot of different styles of vinyl crackles, I feel like. But for Leon Vynehall style, you really want that like crisp kind of like very mid-rangey, like crackly type of one, exactly like this one. Like if you use the one from this pack, you'll be golden. Just getting that kind of texture out of it, I feel like is really important for the vibe you're going for with this style of music. So that's pretty much it for this one. I just want to show you guys some techniques I picked up on listening to Leon Vynehall's music. This one has been requested a ton, so glad I can make it for you guys. And yeah, so that's me for today, guys. Make sure to let me know what you think of this video in the comments, and make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. You can get the project file and samples in the description for free, so make sure to go check those out. And while you're at it, check out my social media, which is also in the description as well as on the screen right now. Thank you again, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow with another tutorial.